So, when Dying Light the Beast first got announced, it quickly became my most anticipated game of the year, because after the horrible launch of Dying Light 2, even though currently that game is amazing, I knew that Techland would bounce back. They have the secret formula in the bag. All they have to do is trace their steps back to the launch of the previous game and just not do it again. And thankfully, they didn't.
Nice.
The Beast was pretty much well optimized on day one. There were almost no game-breaking bugs, at least for me, and the marketing for the game turned out to be the real deal. So, what's up with the title? Well, in all honesty, the Beast could have become something much bigger and better. It should have evolved beyond anything Techland achieved with the first two games. But the harsh reality is that Techland were scared of another failure, so they opted for safeness. But how? I'll answer that by starting with the story.
That and the fact that I kick butt.
The Beast starts with Kyle Crane explaining the dire situation he's in. After turning into a sentient volatile at the end of the last game, he was captured and experimented on by a doctor named the Baron. Now, if that name gave you any hope of this being a good villain, well, I hate to break it to you. Anyhow, Kyle wakes up to find two people trying to break him out. They fail and get captured by the Baron's men. Later, we see some scientists experimenting on one of them, but things go wrong, and the Beast breaks out. We pick up a radio of a woman named Olivia trying to instruct us on the way out. She suggests injecting myself with adrenaline, so I pick up the most contaminated syringe of all time and insert it into my skin. Then I meet my first victim, a helpless, half-naked zombie. I flex my years of bench pressing and beat him to death with my fists. In order to leave, I have to sneak through a dark room full of sleeping zombies. I'm so jacked I could kill every single undead in the room. But you know what they say, safety first. Afterwards, I reach a hallway full of locked up zombies. This must be the Epstein wing. The doors unlock themselves and I'm forced to face them with a pipe. Ironic, isn't it? You know, like a pipe. I reach a locked elevator where zombies pile up and attack me. Then I turn to my volatile side and end their misery. Just like how you could end my suffering and misery by subbing to the channel. It would help. A lot. One thing I really like about this game in particular is the unapologetic gore. I kid you not, there were multiple instances where I froze in my spot watching the dozens of bodies I left behind. And I love that they showcase that in the first 5 minutes of gameplay. We escape the building with a kick-ass running sequence. God, the music. And boom, title card. Then, Kyle Crane sees the light of day for the first time in years.
Finally.
Just by walking around and feeling the atmosphere. You could tell that this is gonna be different than Dying Light 2. Olivia tells us to meet her in a nearby monastery. The place is overrun with zombies, so we clear it and turn on the power. We meet Olivia, an ex-scientist who used to work for the Baron. She wants to help Kyle get stronger to get revenge on the Baron if we would help her escape this place. But in order to regain my power, she explains that I have to kill monsters called chimeras who were experimented on by the Baron, extract their blood and inject it into myself, which would boost my stamina and increase my strength. Basically, these are boss fights that happen every now and then. They usually follow the same formula: hit the enemy once, then run away, come back, hit it again, and just run away. Rinse and repeat. They're not bad, just a bit repetitive. Anyway, Kyle explains his past and how he was captured by the Baron. I wish that this side was more touched on in the main storyline. Instead, they only mention it in a side mission, and it's one that you could easily miss. I don't know, Techland, but you kinda fumbled there. Olivia suggests making allies by helping the people in the town, so I go to town hall to meet new friends, only to find a massacre. I grab a pistol from one of the dead bodies to clear the area, and get attacked by the Hulk of zombies. After showing him no mercy, I extract his blood and inject it in my body. Then I meet the people of town hall. They reveal that they were attacked by the Baron's soldiers. Then a beast showed up and killed them all, which resulted in the power going out, so now I have to help the sheriff restore it. Fun fact, Dying Light's name came from the inability of turning on a light, because every 10 minutes you gotta restore some damn power. There are more power outages in these games than zombies, for God's sake. Either way, I go to the roof and meet the sheriff. She promises to watch my back while I connect the power sources, so I finish my technician work and go back to town hall, where one of her bidden men logs off the game. Pretty sad stuff, I might say. Afterwards, I go talk to Jacob, one of the sheriff's men. He asks me to look for the beast to make sure that they're safe. So I go out in the middle of darkness and locate him using my senses. Now let's address the elephant in the room. The nighttime. Dying Light 1's nighttime was more stressful than a final exam. You can never outrun a volatile while you're half blind by darkness. But there was also never really a strong incentive to go out at night other than double XP, which you don't really need. However, in Dying Light 2, they fixed that by making dark zones significantly easier to clear at nighttime, while also having double XP. So the incentive problem? Fixed! But on the flip side, the nighttime at launch was a joke. Volatiles would only attack after getting a level 4 chase, which is something you can hardly get even if you try to. Not even mentioning the night being bright as hell, as if you have night visions in your retinas. So what did Techland do in the Beast to fix those issues? Nothing. They did nothing. Dark zones are the same regardless of daytime. Darkness was definitely more dark, and volatiles are stronger and more abundant than Dying Light 2. But the incentive of going out at night is now gone. Again. Which is a shame, because the opportunity of innovating is there, but they never seize it. Regardless of my rants, we find the Beast! God, that name is so corny. We find it in a tunnel attacking a few soldiers. One of the soldiers throws a grenade to kill it, so the Beast saves me by pushing me out of range. After waking up and losing track of him, I get chased by volatiles, but the cameraman never dies, so I successfully escape the tunnels. Afterwards, I go to the sheriff where we have a serious conversation. Can you guess what she wants from me?
You're goddamn right.
Yeah, she asks me to turn on another power source. At this point, I'm just an errand boy. I reach the power plant, where I meet some random guy. He warns me that I won't be able to turn on the power, but I've already played the last 2 games. This is just another Tuesday, brother. Now every time I do something good, this random ass party pooper starts doubting me. So after successfully turning on the power, I meet with the guy again, but it turns out it was all a trap. A few soldiers reveal themselves to me. This is where I turn into the Beast. Please send help. So I kill them all and head to town hall. Then I convince the sheriff of my plan to kill the Baron. She seemed a bit skeptical and protective of her people, but I'm sure this won't bite me in the ass later, right? After talking to the sheriff, she reveals that the Baron is experimenting near a nearby monument, so I head there to investigate, and at the end, it leads me to a factory of the Baron. I find my way in and capture a scientist, who teaches me a way of luring chimeras using gas canisters. But of course, Kyle is a man of science, so he starts testing this newfound method to make sure it's all true. Again, another chimera, another below average boss fight. After killing it, the sheriff contacts me to inform me that one of her men found some soldiers near a salt mine, so we both head there and meet each other. Now let's quickly talk about the world. It's less vibrant than Dying Light 2, but more realistic. The map also has 2 main areas, one mainly made for parkour, which is the town, and the other mainly for driving/long walks, so you really won't get bored of either. Speaking of driving, this game has a driving system similar to the following. It's pretty cool and useful, especially in open fields. But what makes this system 10 times more fun is the dynamic music. Basically, if you follow the arrows pointing towards your mission, the music would build up and eventually drop, and if you drive to the opposite side of the arrows, the music would slow down. Now, one of my pet peeves about this game is the fact that they removed dynamic music from parkour and used it on driving. Dying Light 2 had one of the best dynamic music systems in its parkour. The music would swell and build and drop and it was phenomenal, but they removed it in the Beast. And here I direct my question to Techland. Why would you remove that? I genuinely don't get it. But the music still slaps. The composer hard carried a lot of missions with his work. Anyway, I reach the salt mine and enter it, where the sheriff reveals her betrayal. A dozen soldiers surround me, and then I meet the man himself. Wait, is that Juan? Anyhow, it turns out that the beast is locked up in the salt mine with us, so I use that to my advantage and unlock his door. He starts to escape and the Baron tries to kill me with a launcher. I escape the salt mine and head to Town Hall. After arriving, I realize that the sheriff has dipped and only Jacob was there. I order him to be the leader the people need. I've no idea how I'm the one issuing orders since I've only met him like yesterday. But he accepts and directs me to a group of people who can help me get to the Baron. These people are a group of infected but cured exiles that use telepathy. So one of them jacks into my brain and directs me to his location. He asks me to save some of his friends, which I obviously would never say no to, so I do that and meet their leader. Her name is Lydia. She voices her concern over my existence near their hideout, especially since the Baron is after me, which puts them at risk, so she asks me to leave and not come back. Fortunately, I am a little too familiar with being rejected by women, but this time, I won't back down. I prove my worthiness by helping her people connect transmitters onto the Baron's radio towers. This way they can eavesdrop on their convoys. They're a little short on transmitters, so I find some in abandoned military convoys and hook them up on the towers. However, there is one tower that has never been climbed before. Anyone who even dares to try never comes back. I wonder where I've done that before. So we climb it as usual, and while we're at it, let's talk about parkour. I believe this is the best implementation yet of parkour in first-person games. It's leagues ahead of Far Cry and even Mirror's Edge. It's not as floaty as Dying Light 2, but also not as realistic as Dying Light 1, which I think is a good thing because realistic doesn't always mean fun. It is a bummer that dynamic music has been removed, but if the gameplay is this good, then I won't mind as much. They removed the stamina bar while parkouring, and honestly, good riddance. And almost all of the parkour moves of Dying Light 2 that you had to unlock at the end of that game are already unlocked at the beginning of this game, which basically means the Beast's parkour is Dying Light 2 minus the hassle of leveling up, and that is a positive in my book. In any case, after hooking up the transmitter, the exiles inform me of an attack on Town Hall by the Baron. He plans on bombing the place with C4s. Now if the sheriff is there, y'all can do whatever you want. In fact, hand me some C4s, I'll plant them myself. Obviously that did not happen, so I quickly disable all of the planted explosives. After that, Kyle meets up with Olivia to find another Chimera. He shows his concern over Olivia and asks her not to risk her life. I don't know why he's disattached to her. They barely know each other, but I guess Kyle is some wild horn dog now. We find the Chimera and try to take it down. This fight is pretty meh, so I'll take this chance to talk about the combat. Similar to parkour, the Beast starts with all of Dying Light 2's special moves unlocked. It took me a while to realize that because they never specifically mention it. Generally, combat is almost the same here as the previous game, except that they added guns, but they're pretty situational because they're terrible at dealing with zombies, so you are almost always forced to use them against humans, which in turn reduces any chance of using melee combat, so all of the moves you learned in the last game, well, you can ditch them, because using a gun is almost always better than melee while fighting humans. Also, the Beast mode is a huge letdown, and I'll explain my thoughts, don't get mad now. The Beast plot-wise is such an underused element. They keep circling around the risks of injecting yourself with zombie blood.
And how will this affect me? Will I turn into a monster?
But nothing ever happens. It's almost as if they had an idea of where this could go and just scrapped it mid-game. Not once was I worried about Kyle turning, or even worse, just dying, because guess what? Whenever you're in a tough position, whether in a cutscene or otherwise, Kyle will just turn into a killing machine and gain invincibility. And that also applies to gameplay, which is my second point. The Beast mode is nothing but a second life ticket. The special moves you unlock for this transformation are so useless. They consume half your Beast energy just to cause mild damage to beefy enemies. All you do is activate the Kratos within you and just spam the attack button. Zero brain power needed. Okay, we went too far. Let's circle back to the story. After killing the Chimera, Lydia contacts me after realizing I'm too strong of an asset and leads me to a school where the Baron was conducting research. Apparently, some bandits attacked the place, and now it's my turn to stir things up. So I enter the school and run into a friendly scientist of the Baron. He's willing to play ball and help me with the research, so I send him to one of Lydia's scouts, a kid called Ray. Now back to my mission. I collect some samples of useful research, and in the midst of it all, the bandits start attacking the Baron's soldiers, and just like a great philosopher once said,
Damn Switzerland.
so I quickly escape the place. It turns out that Ray and the scientist got lost, so now I gotta find them. Long story short, the kid is now 6 feet under and Lydia knows who the scientist is. Apparently, he helped them while they were experimented on and tried to lessen the effects of whatever the Baron was doing to them. Anyway, we're back to Olivia and her damn chimeras. We fight another one, and this time it's at least something different than the usual. We kill it and take the sample to Olivia. Afterwards, she reveals that her father was the scientist who worked on Kyle or something, and Kyle acts shocked that he's working for the Baron, as if there is not an entire voice tape that reveals who her father works for that you collect in the beginning of the game. Why is this supposed to be some kind of revelation? Nevertheless, I go back to Lydia, where the scientist explains how she could control the zombies' minds if I get them tissue samples of certain zombies. What type of zombies, you ask? Yep, those zombies. So I go to a volatile nest and meet an invisible volatile. This is probably the most unique fight in the game, because you have to use sound and visual cues to figure out where the volatile is. After demolishing it, I reach the nest. My heart was low-key pounding during this mission. After conducting heavy research, Lydia unlocked mind control. Yeah, now she can control zombies' minds. Right. But in order to have full control of the zombies, I have to go into an abandoned mental asylum that has never been entered after the fall and acquire a drug that she could use. I've talked both negatively and positively about this game. I'm as honest as they come. So what do I feel about this mission? They cooked. Yeah. This mission is quite possibly up there as one of the best quests in any Dying Light game. Dying Light 1's nighttime was incredibly creepy. Dying Light 2 was intense at times, so I knew that this game might have some scary moments, but I did not expect the reincarnation of Silent Hill 2. Having a mental asylum as your scary mission is already creepy on its own, but then add the fact that you're the first person to explore it since the virus spread. And on top of that, the sound design of this mission was different. This was some top-level horror game sound design. There are volatiles roaming around, you have to backtrack a couple of times, and at the end, there's a chase sequence? What the hell, Techland? Just make a horror game at this point. So, we acquire the drug and give it to Lydia. But at that point, we learn that the Baron is attacking Town Hall, so we head there to protect them. With the help of Lydia's mind control, we stop the Baron and his soldiers. Then, we regroup with the true villain of this game. Her reasoning for leaving me to die is that the Baron captured and threatened her to kill the folk of Town Hall, so to protect her own people, she had to give me up. So let me get this straight. You betray the one person who has showed multiple times that he's willing to go to hell and back for your own community, in favor of the Baron, who is actively spitting in your face by shutting down your power sources. Then, you talk about how protecting your people is the priority. But after betraying me, you left your own people alone without a leader for God knows how long and hid in the forest. Let's not forget how terrible of a survivor you are. You couldn't even connect a cable for God's sake. Then at the end, you show up and say, "Well, I had to." This is some low-on level of incompetence. Anyway, for some godforsaken reason, we team up with her to find red gas canisters that we can use to lure the beast. So we find a few, put it in the back of my car, and drive to a cave where we can capture him. After one long-ass drive, we finally reach a boss fight with the beast. But we don't want to kill it, since Lydia is trying to bring out the human inside, so we weaken him a couple of times and leave him to rest. A few hours later, the beast wakes up, and it turns out to be Aiden, the protagonist of the previous game. Now, I don't know which supplements this guy was taking, but God, this guy is jacked. He talks about how he tried to break Kyle out of the hospital with Spike, but failed to do so, and in the process got captured and experimented on. So we make a plan to take down the Baron. But Aiden refuses to risk all those people, and decides to hand himself to the Baron. Before heading on the final mission, let's talk about my favorite side mission in the game. Don't look back in anger. This mission starts with us collecting ingredients for a guy claiming to help us face our fears. After collecting what he needs, he brews a stimulant that we drink and enter a dreamlike state. Soon enough, we enter Kyle's psyche and his PTSD. We see him blaming himself for the deaths of Raheem and Jade. Then we fight multiple versions of ourselves, ultimately leading Kyle to his awakening. I love how they addressed this, and I truly wished that they dived more into Kyle as a character in the main storyline. He seems too basic of a protagonist, especially when we compare him to Dying Light 1. But this will do for now, I guess. Now, onto the final mission. We have to infiltrate the Baron's castle, free Aiden, and kill that jackass. But the castle is well protected. My only chance of reaching him is by entering it from an old underground passage. So I climb up, eliminate all the snipers, and let my friends inside. With the help of Lydia's mind control, Town Hall soldiers, and my six-pack, I enter the castle. The Baron's sweat starts dripping, and he proceeds to run away. He leads me to the same hospital I was held in. Then, I notice Aiden unconscious. I try to help him, but the unthinkable happens. Olivia backstabs me.
I'm sorry, Kyle.
Sir, we've already used the betrayal card too many times.
Another one.
But sir, the story is getting dry.
Another one.
After some time, I wake up on a dining table next to all my friends tied up to chairs. The Baron takes a page out of Negan's book and starts eeny meeny miny mowing us to kill each one. Now, I don't mind dying, but the most important bit is seeing this piece of rotten human meat die. So surely, Techland knows she has to go right now. I mean, no one wants her around anymore. Spike? You kill Spike? He had like 2 lines for the entire game. Okay, so now this guy's dying. There's no two ways about it. He hands Olivia a gun to force her to kill me. Obviously, she unbetrays me and tries to shoot him. She fails, but thankfully, Lydia controls his mind for a bit, letting Olivia stab him in the chest. She then frees me, and now I have a personal vendetta against this asshole. It's 2 ripped men versus 1. Aiden and I reach the roof, where the Baron is, and have one last fight. He tries to kill us using a grenade launcher, but it's not enough to stop the beast. Okay, I swear this is the last time. So he injects himself with the T-virus and transforms into a Resident Evil boss. But yet again, it's not enough to stop me, and I finish him easily. We have one last look at the sun rising. It is a beautiful sight, as we have finally gotten rid of his ass. However, we are reintroduced to the lady of the GRE. It turns out she was working alongside the Baron before he turned on her, meaning Kyle just helped the GRE again. But this time is the last time we help them.
Yeah. I will focus on you.
Dying Light the Beast. This is actually one of the most fun experiences I've had with a game in a long time. Is it the best Dying Light? I suppose this is for you to decide. But personally, I believe this is just as good as either of the original 2, and maybe better at some aspects, but also worse at others. My main issue with this game is how safe it is. It never tries to reinvent the wheel, and I don't necessarily think that it needs reinventing, but the leap from the first game to the second was very noticeable. Whether you like that leap or not, you cannot deny how innovative Dying Light 2 was, and the Beast doesn't even try to change things up. I mean, the developers themselves said that this was supposed to be a DLC, but it was so good that they turned it into a mainline game, basically almost being Dying Light 3. And I don't agree with that. If you've played Dying Light 2, this is extremely similar but with a few quality of life improvements. Are they enough to justify a full price tag? No, not for me. But if you've never played a Dying Light before, then absolutely. This game is beyond fun. The gameplay alone is stupidly good, the music is great, and the world is atmospheric. But it does suck at storytelling. When Techland cooks up a story, you know the smoke alarm is about to go off. At times, it genuinely felt like I was watching a fanfiction of Dying Light. You're telling me out of all of the experiments that the Baron conducted on hundreds of humans, including the exiles, the only two jacked, sentient, volatile experiments are the two protagonists of the previous games, and at the end they both team up to take down the villain? Like, how did we go from Haran to this? Anyway, this was a long-ass video, but I believe this game deserves it. If you've enjoyed it, I would heavily appreciate a like and a sub to the channel. It truly inspires me to create more and more content. And if you got any feedback, you are more than welcome to type it in the comments. But in any case, see you in the next one.